Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I actually ended up playing against a viewer here, Stressman. I go with Cost Control Specialist Fang Phoenix. Stressman is a giant specialist with sniper and tanks. We've seen this on the channel quite a bit. An extremely powerful opening with one of the best specialists in the game. This is going to be really difficult for me to crack. I ended up going with these Fang just because I thought that they could help delay some of these sniper shots. I was under no... I knew that they would die very quickly to the tanks. So, you know, it is what it is. Stressman was extremely nice during the game. Hats off to you if you're watching the game. I really appreciate you coming in here and just being a really nice gentleman or gentlewoman or gentle person and just playing a great game with me. He's going to start deploying his units a little bit further up the field. I think this is a great decision on his part. I intentionally moved my units backwards to take kind of like the midfield, so that way if he did deploy something like crawlers, I was hoping that they would come in first. I'd be able to eliminate them and then have enough Fang just sticking around, that way they could eat damage for a moment while my Phoenix dealt with everything else. Really good deployment on his part. Ended up not going my way here. I should be able to deal with these crawlers a little bit better on my flanks than his sniper is to deal with my units, just because I had a significantly more firepower in the name of these Phoenix. However, being a cost control specialist does come with its setbacks. I'm not able to one-shot these tanks. Even with the attack upgrade, I'm not sure if you guys noticed that, but I did end up picking up the attack upgrade early. I wanted to be able to one-shot all of the crawlers, and I was hoping to be able to one-shot the tanks. That is not the case. I noticed that his flanks are wide open. I'm not a huge fan of deploying a flanking unit very early, but I love the deployment module, able to move around these Phoenix for free. Really, normally you only need to jump drive one Phoenix anyways. I do my standard couple of Stormcallers in the front. All of his units are pretty darn slow, so I figured, hey, why not? I pop these guys in the background. It's at this point that Stressman was like, hey man, I like your videos. Good luck, be safe. I was like, oh, thanks, like, cheers. He goes, I'm not going to let you win though. And I was like, well, now I feel bad, but you know, if I do win, then I'd feel a little bit better knowing that he's trying very hard, or she, or they. So in comes our Stormcallers. They should do a phenomenal job. Early game Stormcallers really help out. I love deploying them in this formation because they tend to shoot things in the back quite well. Able to clear away a lot of these crawlers early. It just buys me some time. My flank did an extremely good job. Allows my Phoenix to get online and start killing tanks very quickly. Even if the whatever it is, the arc lights shoot the tanks like once, it's enough damage to overflow. That way my Phoenix can then follow up with a secondary shot and kill it, as opposed to wasting two Phoenix shots. Reason that's important is arc lights shoot incredibly quickly, at least compared to Phoenix. We both go with the supply specialist. I'm working with 150 bucks extra around now. He's working with an extra 50, so really it's the same. But of course his units are performing slightly better than mine. I grabbed two more Phoenix just because he has a lot of tanks, and I am interested in killing those tanks rapidly. I also kind of pushed him to have to grab Mustang. Given the amount of cash that we were working with, I think this is round 3, he could deploy 2 units of Mustang. So I just moved my Phoenix all the way back here. Currently he didn't, at least previously, he didn't have great anti-air on the flanks. He did end up grabbing both Mustangs, so I didn't want to flank this other position. And of course, this is going to go pretty badly for me. Just having those extra Mustang there is really, really powerful. Those little guys were able to eat off an entire round of shots from my Stormcallers, and the Stormcallers took a really, really long time to reload there, like absurdly long. I'm not sure why. I think they were reacquiring shots a couple of times because the Phoenix were killing the frontline crawlers. So that really hurt. This was quite the win on his part. Really good swing round. The last round that I won because of a quick trick, and it didn't earn me a lot of breathing room. I'm setting up kind of a soft defensive thing here. I grabbed the skill specialist just because there weren't really any skills here that I wanted. I was aware that the wasp swarms were feasible. I think the steel balls I went a little bit too much on at this point. but I wanted something to tank some of these sledgehammer shots, as well as tank a lot of these Mustang shots. So having some of them there is a great idea. I put these Mustang on the left flank just to protect a little bit more. I realized that these Mustang had leveled based on previous amount of kills, so I knew that they could level, so I figured they probably would. And in doing so, I figured this might be the side where he plays the Wasps if he was going to play them aggressively. He ends up playing them in his backline. That's totally fine. A unit of Wasps right here probably would have aggroed on the steel balls and these Phoenix, so my Phoenix may have been able to clear them up. And on the left flank, I had a little bit more coverage because my little Fang were in the background. Good missile deployment here on my part, at least my thought is, because I just needed to get into the back line of these annoying Mustang, and I wanted to have enough units here to support those shots. So if the Fang are able to deal some damage, all the better. And they're killing off little bits of crawlers as the game goes on, so pretty useful. My Mustang all get overwhelmed and killed, but I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, his units are really piling up in some key areas. So I realize that, and I'm going to use that to my advantage over the next couple of rounds, because all of those units are sitting on top of each other. The crawlers are all flowing through the tanks. The tanks are all flowing, or the Mustang then are flowing through the tanks as well. So I end up grabbing the incendiary bomb because I know I can use it every 2 rounds. I'm not sure how long this game is going to go on, but I cannot lose very many more. And this is a powerful card, especially with my skill specialist. And grab a couple more Stormcallers as well. All of these units are basically funneling right in this area and right in this area. So if I can hammer these 2 areas extremely well, I'll be in a good spot. He hasn't deployed any missile interceptors. So I end up grabbing upgrades on my Stormcallers so they can keep up with these tanks and hopefully one-shot these snipers. Now he pays for a pretty expensive tech in the form of this range enhancement on these Mustang, but he only has 2 units of them. I'd recommend getting enhancements on units that you have multiple units of. So there's 4 tanks here. Range enhancement still costs $300, but you get 3 of them. I understand why he preferred the Mustang, though, even though he only has half the units of the tanks. Mustang, in my opinion, are just better. I end up grabbing some crawlers, too. The idea is to play some crawlers in the front and back line. I've also noticed that he doesn't have very good wave clear in the form of chaff killing. You know, it's not bad, but it's not great, so I'm going to try and exploit that with some crawlers next turn. My little guys are still doing a great job. They've actually earned a level because they've been able to kill off these crawlers due to their positioning. The fire is extremely potent. In fact, I was even debating about grabbing the oil and doing a double thing. I was like, man, I can just do the oil next turn and give my Stormcallers fire, which would most likely clean off a different flank. So big swing on my part, able to kind of bring the game back under heel. We both maybe have a round of loss left in us. I saw this and I was like, oh God, you know, I don't really want that. It's too expensive, but I'm worried about my opponent using it. So I grab a couple of upgrades, play out the oil here, and get the fire. The idea is that these little guys get in here, I'll burn off this flank the same way I did the other flank, and I need a lot of shields because I'm assuming that that lightning storm is coming down. It means that my Phoenix are really in a bad position because the lightning storm can kill them pretty easily, especially at level 1. So I upgrade those Phoenix as quickly as possible. This does 2,000 per strike, and these little guys only have 1,000 or 1,600 HP. So hopefully they'll be able to survive a little bit better. Able to survive, I think it's 3 strikes now. Yeah, 3,200, and this does 2,000 strike. Nope, they'll still die in 2 strikes, but at least they're not dying in 1 because I do need them. I also play some arc lights in the front here. I just realized that I'm in a bit of a problem if these arc lights get into my Stormcallers. I don't want them to be, or sorry, the crawlers get into my Stormcallers. I don't want to be worrying about that, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to keep them safe, keep them happy. My shields do a great job, immediately paying for themselves because they ate some missiles for me. Stormcallers go off, let out some good burning. There goes a ton of crawlers on each flank. I love that. Like, super powerful. Of course, his Mustang are sitting a little bit outside of the shots, but it is what it is. All of these little guys will die, though. My chaff won't survive getting into the flames, but that's okay. I have more chaff, and importantly, I have a lot of Stormcallers. Without that missile interceptor or a war factory with missile interception, Stormcallers do really well here. So I think that's that. That was the killing blow. Yeah. Let's take a look at our after action report. So we have a pretty interesting setup where we're both centered, or at least I'm centered quite heavily in this back line. What could have been done to delay this a little bit is possibly a unit of something in the back line just to pull these units to attack them instead. It wouldn't have been great, but it is an option. And it's an option that, an investment that will pay the longer the game goes on, because you can then start deploying more and more units in the front line. We didn't have any real heavy hitting units on my opponent's flank, or on my opponent's side. So these Mustang, although they're level 2, there aren't really enough of them to be a considerable threat. There's 3 marksmen, again, not enough to be a considerable threat. And there's 4 tanks without really any upgrades. So again, not a considerable threat. And this is what I'd like to call, well, this is just kind of a lack of damage. Really good spread, really, really good all-around army, but it needed a little bit of punch. My punch was all coming from these Stormcallers. They were able to deal with literally everything on the field here. They just needed to be protected. I did have a little bit of backup damage in the form of my 2 Mustang, but again, not really too scary. Phoenix, somewhat more scary, especially because Phoenix come in units of 2. So I have what is essentially 8 snipers to his 3. So that's a little bit scarier in my opinion. I just have 2 very dangerous units with a little bit of chaff, whereas he's gone with a lot of chaff without really any dangerous units. So maybe in the next round or 2, if he had deployed a couple of giants, Fortress with shields spawning Fang would have been okay. Not really great against my Stormcallers. I tried to shut down giants quite a bit early by playing a lot of Phoenix. So really it was the War Factory that would have done the most for him. If he had played the War Factory and he had the ability to reduce its cost down to 50, then he would have been playing pretty close to me. Sure, I would have had 150 extra bucks, but at least the War Factory wouldn't have been hurting him at that point, so he'd just be playing a regular game. Kind of tough, though. You know, I think maybe some Stormcallers of his own would have been a really good choice, or moving heavily into the air. Like, you'd have to do 2 Overlords and maybe a Phoenix with shields, and then next turn spawn out more shields, or more Overlords and more Wasps. I don't think that would have been a great idea, just because I already have some Mustangs. So really Stormcallers or War Factories may have been the way forward here. I'd be really interested in hearing your thoughts. And Stressman, if you see the video and you like it, please let me know what you would have done differently. This is a tough army to beat, but it can be done. My next move would have probably been to start playing some giants as well. I have a ton of cash, and it's round 7, so I'm going to have enough to start playing some giants. My initial impression would probably be playing a Melting Point or a War Factory, just because I do have the cash to support it, and I could be spawning out a lot of scary units. So I'd probably have gone with the War Factory next round, planted it down here, paid the $100, so that way I'm not paying for upkeep as much. You know, that would hurt my supply specialist, but that's about it. And then have it start spawning probably tanks, and then next turn play another one. That way I just have a ton of tanks coming down the field, and that would just be too much target acquisition for these 3 snipers. The Phoenix would be okay, but I think the tank production would have been a little bit better in this case. And then I'd play some more chaff at the front just to try and allow my War Factories to spawn more and more things, or maybe even spawn a tank in and give it the bumper car upgrade, whatever this is called, Mechanical Rage, I think it is. Am I not allowed to click on you? I am. Yeah, give one, probably spawn in 1 unit of tanks here, give them Mechanical Rage, that way my 2 War Factories would just be spawning vroomy tanks that can shoot a little bit quicker, and hopefully that would overwhelm them, because really it was just how quickly can I deal with chaff is what this game came down to, and that's why I spawned a whole bunch of arc lights. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and I will look forward to seeing you in the future. Have a great one. Bye.